All right, Shalom. I want to start off as always by giving all praises and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim B'chaha Kodash. Daban is unto the apostles, the elders, and the bishops of Great Millstone. I want to send much love unto the brothers out there doing his work in truth and sincerity. And I also want to send peace and blessings unto the believers of the hopeful elect. And in this morning's lesson, I wanted to read just a good portion of Daniel chapter 5 and just break it down through the spirit here, Lord willing is edifying. And I'm doing this lesson in response to America celebrating her 250 year of being a nation and how that Babylon the Great has been numbered by the Most High. Now, this doesn't mean that America is going to collapse this year, right, of a 250 year. But we know according to history that most empires last about 250 years. But also, so we have to tie in to what we see in prophecy, what's happening in the world with the push of these data centers, which is pretty much the groundwork for the MOTB. We're seeing constant tension in the Middle East and the heating up of the War of Armageddon. We are seeing, earthquakes in diverse places, plagues, uprising of the people, plagues, extreme weather. I mean, it is so much going on, right? And all these things are tied to the end of this current world, but especially the end of Babylon the Great. Now, it just so happened that this account happened in Neo-Babylon, right? Which is over in the Middle East, okay, in that region. And they fell, right? They had their time to rule. And when their time was up, the Lord sent in a nation to destroy them, okay? Which in this case, he sent the Medes and the Persians, right? But just as Neo-Babylon was numbered and every other kingdom was numbered, you too, America, has been numbered by the Most High. And when your time to fall is here, you will fall. And it's going to be a great fall. It will be echoed throughout history, okay, of what the Lord is going to do to you, right? So without further ado, man, let's get into this here. This is Daniel chapter 5 and verse 1. It says, Belshazzar, the king, made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords and drank wine before the 1,000. Belshazzar, whilst he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels, which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple, which was in Jerusalem. Now, Nebuchadnezzar was his grandfather, okay? That was his grandfather. Because Belshazzar's father, he wasn't in Babylon at the time, so he had his son pretty much reigning in his stead, okay? I forget his name at the moment. Yeah, but Nebuchadnezzar was his grandfather, okay, Belshazzar. It says, Belshazzar, whilst he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels, which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple, which was in Jerusalem. That king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines might drink therein. Then they brought the golden vessels that were taken out of the temple, the house of God, which was at Jerusalem. And the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines drank in them. So these vessels that they took, man, well, that Nebuchadnezzar took, there wasn't no ordinary vessels that you can go to Walmart and just drink, buy and you can drink out of. Okay. These vessels was dedicated to the Most High, right? For temple uses. And this heathen king commanded to bring these vessels and just dish them out like they were nothing, pretty much. Not in the sense that, the gold and the silver, wasn't of value, but, just having a common damn heathen just, drinking out of the Most High's vessels. No, sir. Okay? No, sir. That was a nail in the coffin. Right? In America, your nail in the coffin moment is coming too. Okay? You had many nails in the coffin. But the Most High has something for you too, a trap. Okay? You're going to do something stupid. And it's going to cause missiles to fly. Okay? It's going to cause ICBM missiles to fly. All right? The fireworks of the Most High, as we like to say, right? The Most High fireworks. It says, back in the scriptures, they drank wine and praised the gods of gold and of silver, of brass, of iron, of wood, and of stone. Right? They tripping, as the heathen do, right? It says, in the same hour came forth fingers of a man's hand. Right? Imagine seeing that. They drinking, turning up, having a good heathen time. And all of a sudden, there came forth fingers of a man's hand, just a hand. Now, you see certain, so-called horror movies, scary movies, right? And, certain scenes stick out to you, that make you afraid, give you that jump scare. Like, whoa, shit, whoa, Imagine seeing this in real life. This wasn't no movie. This was real. A hand came out of nowhere. Do you know how terrifying that is to see something like that, bro? But when you cross the Most High, boy, but everything is on the table. Okay? Everything is on the table, man. So the Lord sends forth fingers of a man's hand and wrote over against the candlestick upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace. And the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. Then the king's countenance was changed, right? When he saw that, it messed him up, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loose, and his knees smote one against another. He was terrified. Terrified. Okay? And that's how Esau gonna be when Yahushua and the angels return. Okay? Even before the Lord Yahushua return, it's gonna be events, strange events taking place, right? Signs that will be happening. That's going to be unexplainable. Okay? The only explanation will be that of the Most High. But a man's hand appeared, it messed him up inside. Right? But that would make anybody afraid. Okay? But he saw that, right? It says, the king cried aloud to bring the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers. And the king spake and said to the wise men of Babylon, whosoever shall read this writing and show me the interpretation thereof shall be clothed with scarlet and have a gold have a chain of gold about his neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. Then came all the king's wise men, but they could not read the writing, nor make known to the king the interpretation thereof. Then was King Belshazzar greatly troubled, and his countenance was changed in him, and his lords were astonished. Now the queen, by reason of the words of the king and his lords, came into the banquet house, and the queen spake and said, O king, live forever. Let not thy thoughts trouble thee, nor let thy countenance be changed. There is a man in thy kingdom in whom is the spirit of the holy gods. Well, what she talking about, some holy gods. But anyway, it says, and in the days of thy father, light and understanding and wisdom, like the wisdom of the gods, was found in him, whom the king Nebuchadnezzar, thy father, the king, I say thy father, made master of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and soothsayers. So she's talking about Daniel, right? It says, for as much as an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding and interpreting of dreams and showing of hard sentences and dissolving of doubts were found in the same Daniel, whom the king named Belshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will show the interpretation. So Belshazzar, after he saw that hand, came forth. He was seeking to his wise men and counselors to try to get an answer, man. But none of them could interpret it. Until the queen said, hey, look, go get Daniel, right? Because Daniel, she said, could do such a thing. It says, then was Daniel brought in before the king. And the king spake and said unto Daniel, art thou that Daniel, which are of the children of the captivity of Judah, whom the king my father brought out of Jewry? I have even heard of thee, that the spirit of the gods is in thee, and that the light of understanding and excellent wisdom is found in thee. And now the wise men, the astrologers, have been brought in before me, that they should read this writing and make known unto me the interpretation thereof, but they could not show the interpretation of the thing. And I have heard of thee, that thou canst make interpretations and dissolve doubts. Now, if thou canst read the writing and make known to me the interpretation thereof, thou shalt be clothed with scarlet, and having chain of gold about thy neck, and shalt be the third ruler in the kingdom. Then Daniel answered and said before the king, let thy gifts be to thyself, and give thy reward to another. Yet I will read the writing unto the king, and make known to him the interpretation. O thou king, the Most High God gave Nebuchadnezzar thy father a kingdom, and majesty, and glory, and honor. And for the majesty that he gave him, whom he would slew, and whom he kept alive, and whom he would set up, and whom he would put down. But when his heart was lifted up, and his mind hardened in pride, he was disposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him. And he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like the beasts, and his dwellings was with the wild asses. They fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till he knew that the Most High God ruled in the kingdom of men, and that he appointed over it whomsoever he will. Right, the Most High, for a period, he bugged out Nebuchadnezzar, because Nebuchadnezzar thought he was somebody great, right? It says, and thou his son, O Belshazzar, has not humbled thine heart, though thou knewest all this. It says, but has lifted up thyself against the Lord of heaven, and they have brought the vessels of his house before thee, and thou and thy lords, thy wives, and thy concubines have drunk wine in them, and thou hast praised the gods of silver and of gold and of brass and iron and wood, stone, which see not, nor hear, nor know, and the God in whose hand thy breath is. and whose are all thy ways, hast thou not glorified? Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this was the writing. And this is the writing that was written, many tiku euphorison. This is the interpretation of one thing. Many, God had numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Right? So Daniel breaking down pretty much what that hand had wrote up on the wall. Right? So he's telling the king, look, your kingdom has been numbered and it's finished. Okay? It was pretty much Babylon at that time, her time was up. That was it. She had reached the height of her power. Okay? She did what she was supposed to do according to prophecy. And when she hit that ceiling, that was it. Okay? Same thing for America. She has a ceiling that she's going to hit. Her days will not be prolonged. As it says in Isaiah 13, real quick. If you go there, it tells you that. Okay? There won't be an extra day, minute, or hour added to this kingdom. Isaiah 13:22 says, and the wild beasts of the islands shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant palaces. And her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. So there's a set time. Okay? Like every other kingdom, man. Every kingdom had a set time to rule. Okay? Every kingdom had a time to where, they fought, they got to the height of their power. They did what they had to do according to prophecy. And when their time was up, that was it. There's no difference this time. Matter of fact, that's in Job as well. I go right to it. Job 23. I'm sorry. Job 24, my bad. Job 24. Job 24, it says, Job 24, verse 23, though it be given him to be in safety, whereon he rested, yet his eyes are upon their ways. Right. Esau, for a period of time, he's been in safety. He's been resting, meaning what? He's been in his kingdom and his power, man. Yet the Most High is looking at all his works, right? All of his works. Nothing is going unnoticed by the Lord. It says they are exalted for a while, right? Esau on top. This is why these Edomites are so proud out in the earth. Even the low-level Edomite, all right, with no teeth, mouth full of tobacco, smelling like, a damn golden retriever, okay, through on meth and, on meth and crack, but they're still proud against Jake, matter of fact, against everybody. Esau proud against everybody, man. Even if they ain't got shit, they still proud because they understand that they have the power, right? Or at least their people have the power, that they run the world. Esau fully understands that, right? It says they are exalted for a while, but are gone and brought low. They are taken out of the way as all other and cut off as the tops of the ears of corn. So they're exalted for a little while, but guess what? They're going to be cut down like everybody else. Ain't no difference, bro. This country not going to reign forever, rule forever. It ain't going to happen. We're at the time of the end, okay? And just as every other kingdom fell, you're going to fall too. It says, and if it be not so now, who will make me a liar and make my speech nothing worth, right? It's going to be the same thing for Babylon the Great, bro. You reach your ceiling, now it's time to go. And this is what Daniel was telling Belshazzar, right? When his little hoe ad, he was proud at first until he saw that hand, and then he had nothing else to laugh about and play about, right? It says, this is the interpretation of the thing, meaning God had numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Tickle, thou art weighed in the balance and are found wanting. Okay, Esau, same thing for you. It says, Paris, thy kingdom is divided and given into the Medes and Persians. Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet and put a chain of gold about his neck and made a proclamation concerning him that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. In that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain, and Darius, the Median, took the kingdom, being about 62 years old. Okay? Darius the Median. Who is that? Right? If you don't know who that is, that's to be some homework for you. Okay? Darius the Median. Who is Darius the Median that came and took the kingdom? Okay? Who is that guy? Now keep in mind, at this time, Cyrus the Great was the king over the Medo-Persian Empire, right? But here it's saying Darius the Median took the kingdom. Now, the word Darius isn't an actual name, okay? It's a title, right? It's a title. It's not an actual name of a person, okay? This individual was a Median, okay, but his name wasn't Darius, right? Who is this guy? This would be some homework for you brothers out there. Get into some history, man. You learn some stuff, right? But Darius the Median, okay, because when you go to real quick, go to chapter 6, right? And it says 6:1, it pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom. So who is this Darius guy, man? But anyway, Lord will knows edifying, bro. But the point being on this lesson is that America time has been numbered like every other kingdom. She's pretty much reached her ceiling. The major prophecies we're waiting for is the MOTV, right? And then ultimately World War III. And that'll be it for this place, man. You know. But Lord will knows edifying, man. All praise how about Shema Shai Bashim Chakadash. Shalom. Kan Shalom, Mark. Shalom. Right? The wicked in his pride, right? Persecute the poor, let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. Khan, Esau will be taken in his own plans. Okay, he's gonna set a trap to pretty much mess himself up, like you see with Tom and Jerry, right? You see the Road Runner and the Coyote. Nigga never catch a Road Runner, right? He said trap to destroy himself. But anyway, I pray those edifying, man. Keep fighting, keep pushing. Shalom.